Okay, I think we're going to get started. Got a good group this morning. So on behalf of the Independence Chamber of Commerce and the City of Independence, Happy New Year and welcome to the very first Friday of the decade. And we're all glad that you're here. Sometimes we worry that after the first of the year where our crowds might diminish and there might be few in numbers, but today it looks like we don't have that many open spots. So we're glad that you all got up extra early to come to First Friday. And before we start our program, we always like to thank our business sponsor, because without our business sponsor, you would be drinking bottled water, and that would be it. And so because we do have a business sponsor this morning, you're all enjoying a light breakfast of fruit and muffins and hot coffee from Annie Mae's. So at this time, would you please welcome our business sponsor this morning is Enbridge Pipeline. And we have their community engagement advisor who is driven in from Edmond, Oklahoma. He came in last evening, and he's here with us today. He's been a business sponsor for First Friday in the past. He's here to talk about Enbridge Pipeline and update us on the oil industry. Would you please welcome Brent Rush?
Thank you, Lisa. Really a pleasure to be here. Try to get here at least once a year and just provide a little bit of update about what's going on, especially with Enbridge. It's hard to believe 2020 is actually here. And I promised my kids I always start off New Year. We have a tradition with a good, well, I should say a bad dad joke. So just to get things rolling, why did the elephant sit on the marshmallow? To keep from falling into the hot chocolate. There you go. There's your bad dad joke. I'm glad you laughed at that one. My kids don't so much. So there's some information on your table about Enbridge specific to Kansas, and feel free to peruse through that. It's updated with numbers from 2018. We update that every spring, so we'll have the numbers for 2019 in a couple of months. I'll share that with the Chamber as well so that we can pass that along. And basically, the good news about my presentation is short. There's not a lot to report, frankly. The oil is flowing. The pipeline's in the ground. I was telling Lisa earlier that, you know, if we do, one of the first questions we get is, you know, do we have anything planned construction-wise? We don't at this point in Kansas in the immediate future, but if that does happen, I will call Lisa and ask if I can get a nameplate up here and update all of you when that does occur. Always want to remind folks too, 811, call before you dig. I'd be remiss if I didn't remind folks of that. Kansas, again, good news as far as our pipelines are concerned. We haven't had any line strikes in Kansas in the past year, so people have been doing a great job calling the one-call system. So aside from that, I just, again, thank you for the opportunity to be here. I do want to send my thoughts out to the what's happening in the Middle East again. On the oil industry side, it does send the prices up, which is obviously a benefit to the industry, but it's a pretty high cost. And my stepdaughter just got married this past year, and her husband just got deployed through Fort Bragg to Iraq. So hopefully that resolves itself pretty quickly. But again, thank you for the opportunity. I know we have some great speakers, and I always add one more thing. We do have a grant program, so we have a few $1,000s earmarked for this area, so if somebody has an idea and wants to come talk to me about it, I'll be here after the meeting. So thank you very much.
All right, thank you very much. And next we're going to do some community updates. So the Chamber likes to keep you well informed about what's happening in the community. And First Friday is one of those opportunities where we can get together and hear an eclectic mix of speakers talk about all kinds of great things that are happening in the community, keep you well informed and put names with faces so that you can make contacts and network with these people. But we also provide you with a calendar, and the calendar is two-sided. It's full of January and February events. I'm going to only cover January because we'll be back in February, and we can look at those those activities later, but you can go ahead and peruse through that on your own. But we have a lot of basketball going on. So the college is playing 6 games this month. So lots of opportunity for college athletics and entertainment on the campus. You're going to hear about some other entertainment on the campus from our speakers, but lots of basketball. So that starts this Saturday. So mark your calendar for the 4th, 11th, 13th, 18th, 25, and 29. I'll say that for the TV camera that's in front of me so that everyone knows about those dates. We have basketball at the high school as well, so they're playing on the 7th, 14th, 28th, and 31st. So that's 10 games of basketball in just the month of January. So if you're a basketball fan, you are in luck. We have the Cancer Support Group. They always meet on the second Tuesday of every month. That's a very important support group, and we have a lot of business sponsors that help support that throughout the year. The Chamber will be sponsoring January's event, and if you are someone or you're a part of an organization that would like to sponsor those, please let me know. We are setting up schedules for 2020 right now. The college would want me to say that they are having an entrepreneurial mindset class this semester. Starts January the 15th through May the 13th. It's on Wednesday evenings from 6 to 8. I've taken the class. It's a great class. It's great to be surrounded by other like-minded, creative people with an entrepreneurial spirit. So if you are interested in that, seek out Jim Carell, and he can get you signed up for that class. There's also a guitar fabrication class in our amazing Fab Lab. I think Steve Reed has his hand in that, and it's all about how to build and create your own guitars. So how amazing. And then we also have some hunts that are going on that I'm going to speak about in just a little bit. We have the 4-H Valley Victors Soup Luncheon on January the 18th. That's a soup supper, rather. It's at ICC West. It's a big fundraiser for them. It's a silent auction, so skip cooking and go out to that on the 18th. And then Meadowlark Lounge. Mike Flood is organizing another Meadowlark Lounge. It will be at the museum on the 18th. This one's going to feature all women songwriters, so that should be fun. So mark that on your calendar. And then we're also going to be hearing today about the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Memorial Celebration. So that will be on the 19th. Keep your finger on that. Move on down to January 21st. Monty Toon is going to be back in Independence for an exhibit at the museum. I believe he's a watercolorist, but if I'm wrong, he's an amazingly talented painter, and you will want to check out his exhibit on January the 21st. And then slide on down, the 28th is our Chamber 106th Annual Chamber Meeting and Banquet. We invite all of our Chamber members to attend that. Our invitation will be going out later this afternoon, and as soon as that hits your email, you can start calling in for reservations for that. And with that, I think I've kind of hit the highlights. We have a flyer table over here before you leave. We've moved it closer to the door so that you can grab all of the flyers. And then lastly, I just want to remind everyone you have until the end of the month to keep filling your car up with gas at Mikey's. This is where the spirit pumps are located. And if you pull up to the spirit pump, I did this yesterday, and 3 cents of every gallon of gas that is pumped from this particular pump. It doesn't matter which gasoline you pick. There's 3 choices. All of them are qualified fuels. 3 cents of every gallon will go to USD 446 to support the youth of our community. So shout out to Mikey's and their contribution to our youth. And we all need to get our gas, at least for this month, at Mikey's so that we can get a double whammy and contribute to our kids. All right, before we get started with our speakers, we have 3 things that I would need to take care of. And we're going to do the Investing in Indy, and this month's recipient will be Ken Brown and Becky Brown. The dynamic Brown duo have purchased some homes on West Main. They have worked hard to beautify them so that when people come in from the east or they leave town, they can see beautiful houses along Main Street. 505, 503, 513, and 519 are the homes that we are going to be recognizing, and we're going to do before and after shots. So I'm going to have Amy flip the lights, and Michelle's going to show you some before and afters of Ken Brown's amazing work. There's the before and after. While we're getting those ready, Ken, do you want to come on up here? And the Pride Committee, do you want to come on up and we'll assemble and be ready? So let's back up. Hey, Michelle. Okay, so is this the first one? Okay, so 503 East Main, there's the before, it's right on the, is that the corner house, Ken? Okay. And there's after, this is Travis's home. All right, and next up, 513 and 513 and 519 and after shot. And again, there are 4 homes. These are the 3 we had good before and after shots of. And so, Ken, do you want to come on over and we'll grab one of the signs back there. Jerry, can you help me with that? And we'll put Ken right here in the middle, and we'll surround you by all of our Pride Committee members. I'll slide around there in a minute. Certificate we're going to give him, so we're just going to pose for some shots here. Feel like the paparazzi, Ken? So on behalf of the Chamber of Commerce Pride Committee, we want to present you and Becky with this certificate of appreciation for helping to beautify our community. I know you all know he's a huge historian, a community asset. He helps us out all the time with historical tours of Independence, and on top of that, somehow he works into the mix to redo dilapidated homes and turn them into beautiful ones on Main Street in particular. So thank you very much. We're going to go put those signs in his yard, so when you guys all drive by, you're going to see those, and you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. So we have another check presentation to make. We have a Veterans Day of Honor event that we have done now, I believe, for 3 years. Is that right? 3? Yes. And we have donated, I think we gave $1,500 last year to help purchase brackets for the banners, for the Veterans Day banners that are in downtown Independence. That's a Main Street project, and Main Street has put some money towards that. And when we started raising money with the color run, Run for the Colors, T-shirt sales, posters, cornhole tournament, we decided that we were going to earmark all funds raised from that event to go to purchasing more brackets to put up more banners, because we have more banners than we have brackets. And so Tabitha tells me that we have over 165 banners in downtown Independence. We're finishing up that project, and now today we are presenting a check for $2,000 to Main Street to start purchasing more brackets on West Main. We need to have about 30 brackets out there to finish up that project, and I think this money will probably buy at least 20. And so we're going to see all of the beautification of those veteran banners extend from downtown Independence out onto West Main. So at this time, I would like for anyone that was involved in Veterans Day of Honor to please come forward and join me with Tabitha right here as we present her with her check. I make sure I give you the right one. All right, we're going to pose for some more pictures. Thank you. Isn't that exciting? I think that's so exciting. Those banners are beautiful, and what a great way to honor our veterans. Brent, you're going to have to come back during the holidays and see our banners. So as we honor them, and it's just so beautiful in our community. So we have 2 more checks. We're going to do it all in one presentation. But I decided this year that we were going to present our tourism grant money to the community so that they can see what we're doing with our tourism money. So the Chamber of Commerce has the CVB within the walls of the Chamber, and part of our responsibility is to use that money to generate tourism in our community, and to, in particular, bring people into town. They stay in the hotels, and that regenerates that tax. That tax is not a tax we pay. It's a tax that people who are visiting our community pays. And without going into a lot of detail, I do want to share with you that over the last 2 years, we've given out over $53,000 in grant money to the Astor Arts Festival, William Inge Theater Festival. We hosted a Kansas Museum Association 3-day conference. We've given money to the museum. We've given money to hunting events, Little House on the Prairie, the Can-Okla 100-mile highway sale, and some others. And so today we are granting $5,000 to 2 great events that definitely impact our local economy. They fill our hotel rooms. Bird Hunters United, which is called like BHU for short, is January the 16th through the 19th, held at Remington Ranch. There will be about 100 to 120 out-of-town visitors in our community for that, booking up to 35 to 45 hotel rooms over those 3 days of that event. And in addition to that, later in the month, January 31st through February the 2nd, National Upland Classic Series, which is called NUX. They will be in town, also out at the ranch, about 80 to 100 people, booking between 30 and 40 rooms. So significant economic impact on our community. They love it when they come to Independence, and Kansas is obviously well known for all of its great public hunting land, and Independence in particular, and we're very appreciative of those who organize hunts, such as the ones that I just mentioned. So would you please welcome Rusty Baker and Mark Farrell, who are in charge of BHU and the NUX hunts, to receive their grant checks. Get up here, we're going to take some pictures. Which one are you? BHU? Okay. Hold them proudly. You're in. And they're going to be back. Rusty, I believe, is on tap to be coming back next month and talking about the success of both of those hunts. So we'll have more information about that. So I have probably talked way too long, but it was well worth it because I wanted to make sure we get that good information out to our public. So again, I'm very appreciative of the work that Pride does and the work that our community does to beautify all of the properties in town that are needing beautification. And I'm excited to see additional banners go up, so I'm thankful for all the work that goes into the Veterans Day of Honor community celebration. And then I'm excited to hear all about the successes of the upcoming hunts. So with that, we have another celebration coming up. Our first duo speakers today are no strangers to us. They are charter members of the Chamber's Diversity Task Force. They are here today to talk about the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. celebration coming up on the 19th. Would you please welcome my good friends Charles Barker and Kathy Shepard.
Okay, first of all, I need to thank everyone for all this wonderful food that you brought. That is an awesome way to start out our food fight. A few years ago, we were looking for a way to kind of get the students in our community more involved in our Dr. Martin Luther King celebration. And one of the staples for Dr. King was to have service projects and that everyone can serve. And so we started this project, came up with the name Food Fight, and it's kind of stuck. Our kids in our grade schools have really been creative with coming up with competitions within their schools to help bring the number of amount of food that we have up higher, and so they've done a great job. The community this year has a really great job on a start for us. It's a little competition between the schools and the community to see who can collect the most food. Eisenhower has won it every year. Last year we had some of the other schools coming in close, so we're hoping that the community can jump in and do as good as what our grade school kids and middle school and high school kids do. So thank you very much for that. If you forgot to bring something today, we'll have drop-off boxes at the chamber and also at G&W, and you can bring it with you on the day of the event and drop it off then. And we give a traveling trophy that goes around to whoever collects the most items. Our celebration here in Independence, honoring Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. will be held at 3 p.m. on January 19th at Independence High School Performing Arts Center. If you've never been, I would encourage you to attend. Each year, Lisa and I talk about how that auditorium should be full, and for some reason, it never is. So we're hoping this year, and it's my challenge to you, to get a friend and come out and enjoy that celebration, because it is a wonderful, wonderful celebration for the entire community. There are a few things that come to mind when we think of Dr. Reverend Martin Luther King. He was a visionary leader, and he drew his inspiration from his Christian faith and also from the teachings of Mahatma Gandhi. He dedicated his life to achieving equality for African Americans in the U.S. by using the power of words and acts of nonviolent resistance, such as protest, grassroots organizing, and civil disobedience, to achieve what were seemingly impossible goals. Many may not realize that he also went on to lead campaigns against poverty and international conflict, while always adhering to his principles that men and women everywhere, regardless of color or creed, are equal members of the human family. Sunday, January 19th, everyone's invited to join the Diversity Task Force in honoring the life and legacy of Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. No matter what race or religion, you are welcome here. Step out of your comfort zone on that day and experience something new. I guarantee you will enjoy it. Dr. King didn't just talk the talk, he also walked the walk. It's time for us here in Independence to also walk the walk. Let us be the leaders. Let us set an example to other communities, and let us come together on the 19th to support each other. Last but not least, I want to share a quote from Dr. King with you, and it is the theme for this year's celebration. The quote is, "We are now faced with the fact that tomorrow is today. We are confronted with the fierce urgency of now. In this unfolding conundrum of life and history, there is such a thing as being too late. This is no time for apathy or complacency. This is the time for vigorous and positive action. With everything that's happening in our world today, the time is now. So please join us on Sunday the 19th, and let's see if we can fill that auditorium." Thank you.
Well, good morning to you all, and Happy New Year as well. It's good to be here and certainly a part of celebrating what takes place here in Independence. I'm always extremely amazed at the number of things that transpire in this small metropolis. It's just so amazing that people collectively come together and work to beautify the community and work on special projects that encourage and inspire people. And I'm just glad to be a part of this group. Thank you, Lisa, for having me, and all of you who are here. I want to just echo what Kathy was saying in reference to the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King ceremony that goes on, community celebration on January the 19th at the high school. I think it's important to understand that most of us have heard, at least in part or know in part, something a little bit about the "I Have a Dream" speech. But the truth of the matter is, it didn't just focus on necessarily judging individuals by the content of their character rather than the color of their skin. But it helped us to understand, even as adults, our responsibility in bringing about change and working collectively together, that we are social individuals primarily, and the only way that we can bring about real change that is sustaining is not necessarily by legislation. Laws are important, but having kind of the love for brotherhood and sisterhood in our hearts is what brings about the kind of change that is necessary, not just in our community, but in our world. And so it's important, I believe, that we come together and we celebrate not just on January the 19th. Again, I look all around Independence and I see some areas, obviously, that need encouragement, and not just one day out of the year. And that's what Dr. King was all about. And so I encourage you to come. We have the young people at the elementary level who always collectively come together and work on some kind of project, and then that project is displayed. I think that there's one even now at the library. Correct. And there are essay contests. The high schools and the middle schools are involved in bringing in the ensembles and the orchestra, and community leaders come together of the particular religious faiths. Just a great way to celebrate. There's a soup dinner. Kathy wanted me to remind you of that. That starts at 2 o'clock. So if you're hungry for soup, there are all kinds of soups that will be available in the community room starting at 2 o'clock on that Sunday afternoon prior to the celebration. We really would like for all of you kind of look at somebody, if you would, who's better looking than you, and tell them Sunday soup dinner. Okay, I see you ain't looking at nobody. You're acting like, well, just look at somebody who's looking, whether they're better looking than you. Tell them, say, come out on Sunday the 19th. Come out on Sunday the 19th and help us to celebrate the life and legacy of Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King. It really is a community celebration. Dr. King, he really talked about the beloved community in his earlier writings. He talked about the beloved community. The reason why all of us are here right now is because we love Independence, and this is a great way to show our love on the 19th by collectively coming together and celebrating. I'd like to see you there. Thank you.
Thank you very, very much. And I echo that again. It is a great celebration, and I encourage all of us to attend and be a part of that community celebration. Speaker number 2 is probably maybe an unfamiliar face to all of you, and I'm excited to have you meet him. His name is Travis Alexander. He's the Vice President of Public Relations for a new group in Independence. It's called Toastmasters. He's here to tell you all about what Toastmasters is, and now you will know what it means when he says, "Speak up, Independence." Please welcome Travis.
Good morning, and thank you so much for having me today. I'm very happy to be here. I am, as she said, the Vice President of Public Relations for Toastmasters International here in Independence. We got together in June and formed our club. Toastmasters was pretty impressed. They said we were the first club to ever form ourselves and send paperwork saying we wanted to be chartered without them ever knowing who we were. Typically, they are contacted first and they get help walking through the process. But in our case, we walked ourselves or stumbled through the process on our own. It's been quite an adventure. We had to have 20 members to charter, which we were able to do and very excited about. So we chartered our club and had our charter ceremony just last month where the charter members received special recognition and celebrated the fact that we did that. So maybe you haven't heard of Toastmasters. What is Toastmasters? Well, it was formed in 1924 in the month of October. The current national headquarters is in Denver, Colorado, so pretty close to us. Toastmasters strives to help people improve in several areas. Often we think about Toastmasters helping us improve in our public speaking, which is kind of the foundation of what we're doing. Our members give speeches at our meetings. The speeches are walked through in the sense of it's guided on how you should do that. The first speech every member gives is going to be their icebreaker speech, where you introduce yourself to the group and talk a little bit about yourself. We spent from June until December just allowing members to do their icebreakers because we want everybody to be able to do that and to get to know one another, because the group isn't formed of a bunch of people who already knew each other. It's been very interesting. We've had attorneys, we've had city officials, people in human services, people from the chamber, trying to think if there's anybody I missed there, mental health. There's been a broad range of professions that have joined us, and retired people as well. So we've had a great broad range of people joining who didn't know one another. So we've taken that time to kind of get to know one another and learn a little bit about each other, and that's been really nice. So every new member will get the opportunity to do an icebreaker speech, introduce themselves to the group when they're ready. So you don't come the first day and I say, okay, how about an icebreaker speech? We give you time to acclimate and decide when you want to do that. So when we think about it being about public speaking, some people get intimidated. Most people aren't public speakers. Now, I've never met a mic that I didn't have something to say to. Lots of people aren't comfortable with that. We have one member who's joined us who has said specifically the reason he's in Toastmasters is because his supervisor said, you're joining. You're great at your job. We got to fix your public speaking. And so he joined and has enjoyed the group. That was before us. He actually came from another club to join ours. But it's so much more than just public speaking. And it's not for the person who wants to go out and give these speeches. I ran for this office, or actually was just kind of dumped into it because we need to fill spots, because I don't mind speaking publicly. So it's not necessarily for the person who's already a great public speaker or who wants to give a bunch of public speeches. I think for the person who's not interested in that, the most valuable part of this club is what we call table topics. Every month, one person is our topics master, and they come with a topic to speak on. One example was we did, what is your favorite Neowalla memory? We have done, this is the title of a book, we need you to describe it to us. So you get an opportunity to stand up and give a 2 to 3 minute speech on the table topic. Now that may seem kind of impromptu. Well, it is impromptu. It might seem like you're being put on the spot, and you are. And the reason why is because me as an employee now, when someone comes up to me and asks me what I do for a living, I can tell you so much better because of my impromptu speaking abilities. People ask you questions all the time or want to know about this and that. And through doing these impromptu speeches every month at Toastmasters, I've also helped cut out a lot of my verbal clutter. I don't find myself saying so, and, searching for words, because I've spent time honing that skill of being able to speak on a topic that I need to speak on at any given moment. So it's a valuable skill for everyone to have. It's not just for the attorney who's got to go give a closing argument. It's not just for the person who needs to give a public speech for their company repeatedly throughout the year. Now, there is competition involved if you want to get that deep. They have a national Toastmaster every year, and not this year, but the year before was actually an educator from Louisiana that won. And that person, then their full-time job became working for Toastmasters and traveling the world and speaking about Toastmasters International. We have not gotten into that part yet. We haven't had competitions amongst ourselves. We're looking forward to doing that at some point. But right now, we're still just kind of getting our feet wet. This is a great time to join. If we're right after the first of the year, it's a great time, those of us who are working on improving ourselves in different areas. So we meet the first Wednesday of every month at noon here at the public library. Everyone's welcome. You'll be considered a guest until you decide to join, but we've never ran a guest off, even if they've attended 10 meetings and they're still in the guest level. That's fine. We'll be glad to have you come join us. And then we're going to be meeting on the third Monday of every month at 6 p.m. And that location is going to change monthly. That's going to let us get out in the community. We've talked about going to local eateries and bars to maybe practice our roasting skills of one another while we're enjoying drinks of an evening, or allowing local businesses to invite us in. Toastmasters is a big part of a lot of major corporations. A few of them are Amazon, Apple, AT&T, Boeing, GE, Google, IBM, Microsoft, NASA, UPS, Verizon. They all have corporate clubs. That means that this has been so proven to them that they have their employees meet during their workday at their place of employment to participate in Toastmasters. We are considered a community club, so we meet in the community and allow anybody to join. Trying to see if there's any other highlights I wanted to hit. It helps improve your leadership skills. Every meeting, we have different roles to fill. I talked about that topics master. That changes every meeting. So I might volunteer to do it today, and someone else is going to do it in 2 weeks, and that rotates through. We have a Toastmaster at every meeting. So although we have an elected board of officers, we don't run the meetings. The only thing we do is the president gavels the meeting to order, then she hands the gavel over to the Toastmaster, and they're in charge the rest of the day. They lead that meeting. So you get the opportunity to do that in a supportive environment. We have somebody whose job it is to keep track of time. I've got my timer going here so I don't run over my 10 minutes today. There's a person that helps you stay on track. We have a person that's going to count that verbal clutter for you and help you realize how many times did we say and so, to help realize where those are happening in our speech pattern and get rid of that. Another thing I think is great, we have a word of the day. So someone comes in, they are the grammarian. They check our grammar all throughout our speeches, and then they offer us a word of the day. And everybody really gets excited when you work the word of the day into your speech, because you hadn't planned for it if you had pre-wrote the speech. So there's lots of roles for leadership to kind of take the reins and learn a little bit. Helps enhance teamwork. It's effective meetings. We start at noon. You will be out by 1. Like, that was my lunch hour. I knew I had to be back to work at 1. And there might have been one time I was back at like 1:02. But we keep that meeting to an hour. We make sure we're out the door in time. The evening meeting is a little bit more lax, but that noon lunch meeting, it will be on time. People who are members of Toastmaster have shown improved productivity in their work and in their life. And we also have a positive mentoring program. So if you come in as a new member, at your request, you could be assigned a mentor who will help you work through the process. I've got to tell you, I've been very impressed with Toastmasters. They have an online system that's called Pathways. So I took a little test of like 15, 20 questions, and based on that, it showed me which pathway I should work on, whether it's leadership or it's, well, I don't know the others because leadership is mine, to be honest. There are different pathways, but it helps you connect to the one you need. Communication, I think, is another one. Leadership, communication. So it helps you connect to that pathway. And then it tells you what to do. So the first thing it tells you to do is give your icebreaker speech. And after you've done your icebreaker speech and that gets logged into the system, then it comes back and says, okay, now that you've completed that, we want you to be the grammarian at the next meeting. Volunteer to be a grammarian. And once you've done that, then it says, great, now we want you to volunteer to be the Toastmaster. So it works you through on ways to improve and ways to grow. It's a wonderful organization. I'll be here after the meeting. If you have any questions, feel free to stop by and speak with me. And if you don't get a chance to, our next meeting will be that first Monday of February at noon at the library. We're not doing any meetings in January because the first Wednesday was New Year's Day, and the third Monday is Martin Luther King Day. So with them both being holidays and a lot of closures, we decided we would get things rolling again in February. So thank you so much for giving me a few minutes to speak this morning.
I know we're all going, oh my gosh, I've got a lot of verbal clutter. We must join Toastmasters. I was a part of the group, and then I had a conflict with one of the Wednesdays, but now I'm excited that they've changed it to a Monday. So it's what'd you say, the first Wednesday?
First Wednesday, third Monday.
First Wednesday, third Monday, starting in February. So, all right. It's a lot of pressure, Patrick. Hope you don't have any verbal clutter. Just kidding. Yeah, so this is something new that we decided for First Friday in 2020 is to do a business spotlight. It's an opportunity for us to invite someone to the podium to talk about their business or businesses and really enlighten us to what's going on and what the future might bring. So today we have half of the dynamic Conway duo of Patrick and Michelle Conway. They are very spirited entrepreneurs. Patrick is knee-deep in Brothers Railroad Inn. Michelle is equally as deep into Sawyer's Fine Wine and Spirits, yes, who just celebrated an anniversary he's going to speak about, and now they have teamed up to lease and operate the Prairie Royal Ballroom. Would you please welcome Patrick Conway?
Good morning, everyone. When Lisa asked, we started talking about, businesses and talking about, our business and in the community. It's kind of it's nice to be able to get up and talk about the business because we're so knee deep in it all the time. We get confused or lost, or we're working on so many things. We kind of got to slow down and think about what our businesses do for the community because we miss it a lot. I've got 3 things to talk about, 3 different businesses. There are times that I get confused between what's going on at which location and when, but the last about week, it gave me a few minutes to kind of sit down and really think about it. It took about a couple hours out of last Sunday and tried to write a little speech for this, but I've been doing it so long that it's easier for me to just talk about our business and our community. Brothers Railroad Inn, we are going into our 17th year this year. It's pretty amazing that the community, not just Independence, you've got, Independence, Sycamore, Cherryville, Coffeyville, Chanute. We get people out of as far as Tulsa and Bartlesville all the time, to be able to support, the local business. And what that relates to for the community is, the tax dollars that are spent here. There's a lot of people that get brought in from out of town that spend their money here. And, I think that we miss from time to time, thanking those people. Rusty and his groups, when he brings people in, they're brothers eating. They're downtown. You see them downtown walking around. If you see a bunch of guys that you don't know that are dressed up like hunters, these guys brought them in. Someone brought them into our community to show them what we have to offer. And there's a lot of places, or a lot of people that do things like that we tend to miss saying thank you. With brothers, we wouldn't be able to do half of what we do without a lot of the people in this room. You guys, bring your friends there, you bring your families there, you do your celebrations, your birthdays. There's a lot of things that you come down and do that we're thankful for, that there's a lot of times that we miss saying thank you. There's one individual in the room that without his support over the last 17 years and a little more recently, then it's a little more important now to me and Michelle, Ned. Ned has been a part of my family and brothers since day one. And now he's even more important to us and his support with the ballroom. He's been pro-independence his entire life. And it takes time to sit back and tell Ned thank you, and sometimes we forget that. Who in your business locally have you forgotten to take the time to say thank you? We've got a lot of stuff going with brothers, and I'm sure you've heard some of the talk about what we're doing now, what we're doing this year and moving forward. We've got, I think, yesterday was a good example of the kickoff for the year. January is a very, very tough month for the restaurant industry, and for most businesses, because a lot of people go out and spend their money over Christmas and then they kind of cut back. But last night, I looked at the reports last night after we closed out. Last night was one of the busiest Thursdays we've had in the last quarter of last year. It matched a lot of the days from last quarter last year. So that's a good sign for us that not only are people still going out right after Christmas, but they're staying here. And that's what we try to do. We try to keep people from going out of town. When they go out of town, it's not just the dollars they spend on the food. 9 times out of 10, they're going to stop somewhere else, get gas. Like Lisa was saying, 3 cents per gallon that goes to our local schools. If those people leave town to go somewhere else, they're going to have to get gas. That's a given. We're far enough away that it's not very often that you can drive somewhere and come back and then fill up. So keeping people here, for the last 17 years has been a struggle. But I see a lot of increased, interest in what we're doing, and what Dickey's is getting closer and closer by day, and that's a struggle. I've been in his shoes, and it's a challenge. It's anything you can do to help out, a a local business that is looking at opening or trying to open, help guide them through it. They're going to be a direct competitor to us. I love that. I love the fact that somebody wants to come in and compete. It keeps us all on our toes at all times. We've got Brothers I've got some new things going at Brothers that I'll start to talk about now. We've got a project going right now, potential project, new restaurant in Ark City. We will never leave Independence. I want to make that very clear. If that project over there goes well, which I hope it does, their community is a lot like ours. They have a lot of support for local business. No matter how that project goes, Brothers will always be a part of Independence. We have no intentions of going anywhere, and I want to make that very clear because those rumors get started. People talk about, oh, they're going to leave Independence. No, we're not. I grew up here. This town's taken very good care of me, and especially with the opening of Sawyer's and the Prairie Ballroom, the support that it's given us. We're going to be here, well past my lifetime, I hope. So if you hear those rumors, let me know. Let's stop them where they're at. If anybody wants to have information about it, ask me. I'm an open book when it comes to that stuff. I'm a firm believer in sharing the knowledge and getting more people to say stuff. So I'll talk about Sawyer's real quick. I'm going to kind of talk out of order. Sawyer's was a new endeavor for me and Michelle. Mainly Michelle. She's never done something like this before, and her taking that on is a huge challenge. And she's done very well at it. It's retail in general is very difficult. You try to make everybody happy. In the alcohol and liquor business, it's very difficult because there's so many things that everybody wants. I was looking the other day. We have, I think, 3,900 items in our catalog of things that we sell. And you can see that our store looks like there's not a lot of inventory. We want to keep it that way. We want to keep it inviting and open and not feel like when you come in that you're hard-pressed to find something. If you want to come in and talk for 20, 30 minutes, that's what we're there for. That's why we built it the way we did, is try to make it, something nice downtown that people can appreciate and be able to, spend their hard-earned money. And we know that. We know our customers and our community work hard for their money. And we as business owners should be working just as hard to try to get it from them. And that's what me and Michelle kind of look at is, moving forward in the next, this quarter, we've got a project that Michelle's working on. She's kind of taken the reins on writing her own grant. It's something that, I've never done. And I'm going to let her kind of, go through it on her own and see what happens. We've got the upstairs at Sawyer's that it's completely open. We've sent a couple of things out on Facebook asking people, what do you want to see upstairs? We've got a lot of responses. There are some challenges to some of the things that people would like us to do. But right now it's looking like the apartment or apartments is in the running, or a corporate office. Filling the buildings downtown should be all of our priority because it gets people in town, gets them down there walking around, looking around, seeing what's going on. Having, just like Michelle said the other day, we've got some pigeons up under the awning, and when you walk up to the building, you hear them, you see them. So now it's my priority to get rid of them. So that's a new one to me because I just want to throw the cat up there and let her take care of them, but she said no. So having those priorities, it's the little things that having that someone to bounce things off of, that makes the building look better, more presentable, more inviting to come in, and that's what we're trying to do with Sawyer's, and now with the ballroom. We've got what do I got, about 4 minutes left. We've got, so in the last 17 years of Brothers, I've probably seen 15 or 20 restaurants come and go. That business is very, very difficult. The margins are very tight. Your staff has to be on key at all times. And we've had phenomenal staff at Brothers, which allows us, me and Michelle, to be able to go do these other things like the liquor store and now Prairie Royal Ballroom. When Vintage closed, it was kind of a shock to everybody. They were open, I think, 7 years, if I remember right. Your 5 and 10 year milestone in the restaurant industry is kind of the keys. If you get to year 5, you're crossing your fingers you can make it to year 10. You make it to year 10, then you're trying to figure out, okay, what else can I do to make sure I keep moving forward and progressing? When Vintage left, me and Dad talked quite a bit about, we turn down parties at Brothers daily because we don't have the room to do it, because we don't want to take that room away from our everyday customers. It happens. It still happens. We had a party last night that they called in, wanted a reservation of 16 on pizza night. It's one of our busiest nights, but you can't turn them down. So got with Ned. Ned is allowing us to use that building kind of at our discretion a little bit, as far as the look, the layout, what we want to do there. But being able to provide a space for the community that is both affordable, classy, full service. Whatever you want to use it for, that's what it's for. It's a building downtown that should be utilized, and we're trying to utilize it the best we can and keep it open and keep the lights on and keep people interested in asking questions. I think this Saturday we've got a party of, I think somebody's going to have their 4-year-old's birthday there, which it makes sense to me now. It's been a long time since I had little kids, but I think they have like 24-year-olds coming to this party, and they didn't want them to tear their house up. Makes sense. Makes total sense now. I have to clean it up now, but that's okay. I'd be more than happy to do that. But there's other projects that downtown, that within the community, if we continue to talk about and look at, what can we do to help each other out? I think that I've seen some changes in the last 8 months as far as growth and independence, and I hope you guys are seeing it too. We're seeing a consistent growth in the traffic downtown. I go back and look at, since we put up security cameras at Sawyer's, I go back and just kind of browse through it, and I see more and more people out walking around doing things. I don't know, it's because we've had a great winter and it hasn't been cold, but they're getting out there. So, ask them questions. What can we do as business owners to help grow the community? There's a lot of talk about big businesses coming into town. They're going to come and go. They always have in Independence. It's our smaller businesses in these groups here, that are going to continue to grow the town, and that's what we need to do. We've got, between the 3 businesses, Brothers, Sawyer's, and the Prairie Ballroom, we don't have a lot of time to go do other projects, but we will make time for Independence. We always do. So if you have ideas, you have questions, you have things that you don't know how to do or want to do, ask. Between me, my dad, my mom, my sister has the salon. My nephew's finishing up his license for his tattoo parlor upstairs. We've touched about every aspect of business that you can kind of think of. So if you got questions, ask. Text me, call the restaurant, whatever. Don't be afraid to ask. Worst thing I can say is I don't know, and we'll find out. So, thank you for inviting me. I think this is a great idea for the business spotlight. To bring businesses in and talk about what they're working on, what their struggles are. Keep everybody up to speed. So, like I said, last thing, if you have questions about what we're working on in Arc City, and I know there's going to be a lot of them, ask. Don't let somebody other than me, my dad, or Michelle tell you what we're doing, because they don't know. So just ask me. So that's all I got. Okay. Thank you.
Good job. Thank you very much. All right, wrapping up our very first Friday is another duo. They may or may not be familiar faces, but after today, they will be. One face might be familiar to you because you've not seen her at First Friday, but you have seen her on TV. She is a former Hallmark actor that I have seen on TV before. I'm so excited about that. So much fun when you're like, oh my gosh, I've seen her before. But two people from Independence Community College are here with us this morning to talk about the theater program, all the things that are happening on the campus. So would you please welcome Dr. Paige Petruka and Paul Molnar.
Let's squeeze in.
All right.
Yeah. Really, truly, I'm very thankful to be here. Thank you so much, Lisa, for having us. And honestly, Paul is my buddy. We are a team. This is my second year at ICC. It's Paul's first. What I would love to do here in just these few minutes is introduce ourselves. I want to talk about our program and what we do, our upcoming productions we're so excited about, and then just a few other things. Mm-hmm. Let's keep it loosey-goosey.
All right, you start. Go ahead.
Okay, I'll start. Hi, I'm Paige Petruka, and thank you so much for using the doctor title, because I did work hard for that. My brother has refused to use it because he's older than me, and he said, I love you, but I will not call you Dr. Petruka. And I said, fine, that's fine. But thank you for recognizing that. I appreciate it. I have had the opportunity of doing film work, of doing acting on the stage, and I love it. And I realized about 10 years ago that I had to do a job that I loved and that I was passionate about. And so I went to school. I got my PhD from Texas Tech University, and since then I've been writing plays, I've been performing in them, I've done film work, and I am so thrilled to be here at Independence, in Independence, Kansas. I love it here. The people have been so welcoming and kind and friendly and supportive. I can't believe it in this tiny little community how amazing people are. And I've seen a lot of you around. I do have a dog. We walk in the park on occasion, and I recognize some faces of people that I see in the park. So that's me in a nutshell. Yeah, you're up, Paul. Go.
All right. Thank you. It's really great to be here. I'm brand new to Independence. I got here in August. I spent the last 22 years living, working as an actor in New York City. So my wife and I decided we wanted to make a change and spent about a year putting applications out, and was really fortunate to land here in Independence. The thing that I love the most about Independence, Kansas is that I grew up in a very small town in northern Michigan. Tiny town, 2 streets, very much like Independence, and the thing that I loved about my small town is what I see happening here. The community, the support, all of the decorations and acknowledgement of everything that happens. I don't know that you guys, see it from an outside point of view too much, but coming from New York City, especially the last 22 years, and landing here has been exceptional. And everyone has been very kind and welcoming, and I really appreciate that, and you all should be proud of your community for that. It's really spectacular. So do you want to talk about upcoming?
Yeah, let's talk about upcoming productions. My first one, and I'm so thrilled, it's at the very bottom of that long list of all the things. My first show, our first show this season, or this semester, is end of February, very first day of March. It's a play called Silent Sky. And I don't know if any of you have ever seen the movie Hidden Figures. It's amazing, very inspirational. Silent Sky is along those same lines. It's the true story of a woman named Henrietta Leavitt. In the early 1900s, she was an astronomer, called herself an astronomer. However, because she was a woman, the department, the astronomy department at Harvard University wouldn't call her that. And in fact, women were not allowed to touch the telescopes. She made such a difference and such an impact in the world of astronomy. In fact, her work inspired Hubble to go on and create his telescope. It's a beautiful story about what inspired her and the challenges that she went through as a woman to try to do great things in a field that she loved. So I hope you'll come. We've got some very exciting things happening. It will be on the William Inge stage at the college. So please, please, please come. Next show.
All right, and so my directing debut was in December. I directed The Glass Menagerie on the William Inge stage, which was a treat and really fun. The next thing that I'm going to be doing is a musical called I Love You, You're Perfect, Now Change. It is the second longest running off-Broadway musical to play in New York City, which made me think back. I thought, geez, well, what's the longest running? Anybody have a guess on what the longest running off-Broadway musical? The Fantastics. It ran for 42 years. Can you imagine? 42 years. Over 17,000 performances. But anyway, so I Love You, You're Perfect, Now Change is an ensemble cast of 4 actors. They play multiple different roles, and they track relationships all the way from sort of the blind date all the way through marriage, in-laws, growing old together, children. Each sort of scene is its own kind of vignette. The 4 actors that we've cast are incredibly talented ICC students, and it's hilarious, and it's touching and moving. Fantastic music. So hopefully all of you can come out to that. That's going to be May 1st, 2nd, and 3rd, and that's going to be in the Black Box Theater. So it's going to be a very intimate setting. It's going to be great.
Yeah, cool. Checking the time. Yes, we're good. And I want to talk about some of the classes that we offer, because a lot of our, and I want to say competitors, but not really competitors, a lot of the junior colleges around here don't offer the kinds of classes that we do. We offer more than acting and more than theater appreciation. Although those are amazing classes, we also, Paul and I, have an opportunity, because we balance each other very well. We can offer some incredible classes to our students. I teach playwriting. That was one of my foci when I was getting my PhD. Playwriting, script analysis, dramatic literature, advanced acting classes. What we did this last November, and some of you came, and I'm so thrilled about it, during the spring, we wrote 10-minute plays in the playwriting class. And then in November, for the Anna Awards, we presented those plays that we developed in class, directed by ICC students. What an incredible opportunity at the junior college level to not only write plays, but to see them produced on stage. That is so exciting. And to be in a town that is really considered a playwrights town is an honor for me. So the playwriting area of Independence Community College has not really been explored in several years, so I'm very excited to bring that back. And that's one of my big passions. And Paul has such incredible, he's so good. He does stage combat, little swords and stuff, and I'll let you tell him about that. Go.
The swords aren't that little.
That's true. That's true.
So I teach acting, voice, and movement. And the movement is sort of in 2 sections. The movement, one class focuses more on sort of an introduction to the actor's body. We'll explore clowning, commedia, period types of movement. And then in the second semester, the second year, it's more focused on stage combat, theatrical stage combat, something that I've been doing since the early 90s. I've been a fighter in a lot of shows, done a lot of fight direction, worked with some of the best in the country, and I'm really honored to be bringing that here to Independence. Hand-to-hand, rapier, dagger, broadsword stuff, hopefully we'll be able to get into. But yeah, just introducing the actors to that type of, that aspect of acting.
Great, cool. And then finally, I'm gonna conclude with talking about an upcoming conference that we're going to be attending with the students, and then I'll have Paul kind of talk about our season for next year. We're very excited about that. So the Kennedy Center American College Theater Festival has been around for quite a while, and it is an opportunity for college, both junior college and university students, to participate in the theatrical world. And it's not just for acting. It is for stage managers, for technical designers, for playwrights, for directors. It is a chance for them to compete at the regional level and then move on to the Kennedy Center, which is held every year annually, I believe in April, although we haven't had a chance to go to the national conference yet. That's our goal. We'll get there. And our students can compete, they can improve, they can go attend workshops. Our school has not participated in KCACTF in a few years. Last year was my first year going with our students. We had a small group. This year we're going again in about 2.5 weeks. South Dakota. That's dedication, folks. Dedication. I love my students, but they get to compete, and we see amazing productions, and we interact with other colleges and universities and other students and directors. In fact, Paul and I, they have a really fun thing for faculty. It's the Faculty Showcase acting scenes. And this is what happens. We both decided to do this, and I don't know why. We did. We actually are just given a scene. We're given lines of about a 5-minute scene. We memorize the lines, but we will not know who our scene partner is until the night we are on stage. And we're very excited to be doing that, right, Paul?
Yes.
Okay. So there's something for everyone. It's fun, it's exciting, and we're thrilled to be a part of it. So Kennedy Center American College Theater Festival, you're going to be hearing a lot about that from us. We will be doing some fundraisers to make sure we can get more and more students to attend this amazing conference. So, you're
all
up,
right,
Paul.
so next season, is that what I should talk
Yes.
about? So next season, we haven't fully decided. We always do 4 shows, generally 2 on the main stage and 2 in the black box. I know that Paige has decided on
A musical. It's called Lucky Stiff. If any of you have ever seen Weekend at Bernie's, it's very much like that, where they drag around a dead body, and it's not gory or gross. It's hilarious and entertaining and funny. So I hope you'll come.
I figured she'd be able to describe that better than me. I'm bouncing between a couple different Shakespeare plays. Shakespeare is my bread and butter. It's my background. I ran a company for a long time, have done it a bunch, and it's my passion. So I'm going to be bringing some Shakespeare, still deciding which one it's going to be. And that being said, I tend to enjoy large cast Shakespeare plays. Our company at the college does not have enough, there likely aren't enough students. So I will be reaching out to the community. If other people would like to participate, please keep an eye out, because I will want to bring in all of your skills to really bring Shakespeare to life on the William Inge stage. And then there will be another show that is sort of TBA.
Yeah. Oh, and I'm also doing a farcical comedy. So we're getting you excited about what's to come, although we don't necessarily have a lot of names of titles of plays for you. But please, we appreciate your support. We're so thankful to be here, Lisa, and we hope we can keep coming, and maybe in the future come and bring little vignettes of our shows so that you can see them. Are we way over time? We're right on time, Paul.
Perfect.
That is amazing. Thank you so much.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you. And you are always welcome to come back and give us little teasers and updates on what's happening on the campus of Independence Community College. So with that, we're going to wrap up our very, very first Friday of the year. I want to congratulate Ken and Becky Brown again on our investing in independence and the commitment that you've made to beautifying our community. I want to thank our Veterans Day of Honor organization who put on a fabulous event but helped raise money so that we could present that check to Tabitha and Independence Main Street and continue to help them finish their their banner project out on West Main. We look forward to seeing those banners come up, I believe, on Memorial Day. Is that right? Is that the next time that they will be up? So we'll watch for those in May. And then I want to congratulate all of the hard work that you're putting towards the hunting in our community, Rusty and to Mark, for the hunts that they have that they're putting on, and we look forward to hearing about the success of those hunts next month. And I do need to give a shout out to the Independence Daily Reporter. While Kathy and Charles Barker talked about the Martin Luther King Jr. celebration coming up on the 19th, and we definitely all want to attend, they did talk about the food fight and the food that is being collected for the food basket. You know, it was depleted somewhat during November and December, the holiday months, and many of us brought canned food items and everything, but the Independence Daily Reporter showed up with a truckload or a trunk load of food that's on the cart back here, lots of boxes, and so they made a business contribution, and we're appreciative of the Independence Daily Reporter and your commitment to helping with food insecurities in our town. And then, let's see, number 5, I want to thank Travis. You did a good job. So what an awesome opportunity that we have for having Toastmasters in our community, helping to build leaders and helping make everyone feel comfortable at the podium when they get up, or having their 30-second elevator speech or whatever it might be. So I encourage everyone to think and consider about joining Toastmasters. And congratulations to Michelle and Patrick Conway on being recognized as our first business spotlight for 2020. And we appreciate their commitment to our community at Brothers Railroad Inn, Sawyer's Fine Wine and Spirits, and now in conjunction with Ned Stickman with the Prairie Royal Ballroom. And again, we appreciate all of our businesses and their commitment to our community. Thank you to the college. You guys were great. You did such a motivational, entertaining presentation. I know that all of us are going to mark the plays on our calendars as we see those pop up and go out to the Black Box or the William Inge Theater and enjoy all that they have to offer. Thank you, Brent, for making the trek to Kansas from Oklahoma and keeping us well informed about Enbridge Pipeline. And we appreciate your chamber sponsorship. We appreciate your membership to the Chamber of Commerce and your commitment to our community. February the 7th is our next First Friday, so mark that on your calendar. And I think with that, I've checked off all of my thank yous. I thank you all for taking time out of your early morning to be a part of First Friday, and we look forward to seeing you next month. Thank you very much.